Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today has to do with how we talked about the things that we talked about before. So I had explained to everyone prior to this about the SOLD method, right? SOLD, SOLD method. So S stands for structure. That's your commitment and what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. O stands for the objective, which means that's my why, right? Why am I doing what I'm doing and where do I see myself going with it? And now we're up to L, which is the lead persona, right? That's the person who we're trying to target, right? It's the messaging that we talked about earlier, and I wanted to help you with that messaging. So I'm going to share my screen. Um,
Frank, what's the D?
D is domain. So that's the
Domain.
domain means the area, what you're going to do. Are you using a demographic, a psychographic, a geographic? Are you farming a specific area? Are you farming, a certain type of property? Or are you farming a certain type of person? Um, like maybe a specific profession. It's the domain that you want to be known for. What are you a specialist in, right? So this will also help with that as well. So what is a lead persona? What is that? What do I mean by a lead persona? A lead persona is having that ideal client, right? That ideal seller, that ideal buyer that you want to target, right? These are the people that I want to work with, and I want my message to speak directly to them. Because the biggest mistake most agents make is that they try to be everything to everyone. And that messaging gets muddled in with all the other 1.7, 1.5 million agents that are in the United States. So what I want to do is stand out. I want to create a niche. And if you've listened to Brian tells you the same thing, he'll tell you you have to define your market and decide your niche. And so this is part of that process to help you create that messaging. Not define the niche, but it's going to help you create the messaging. So now normally I'll show you what I used to do was do this, right? So I would create a perfect client avatar. In this case, what we're calling it is a lead persona. And so what are the top 5 reasons? As a matter of fact, Cheryl Ann, I think you were actually at the session when I did this in Marathon when I first got here. What are the top 5 reasons to post on social media? So some of the things that you can think of as far as the top 5 reasons. One is visibility, right? We want to create visibility within our market area. Two is credibility. So I want to build my authority and show that my what I provide to my clients is credible and usable and valuable. The third reason that you want to post on social media is to connect and build relationships. So you can use social media in many different ways, such as using groups, friend connections, and utilizing different types of events in order to increase your relationships in social media. Another way that you would use social media is to provide informational and educational content. Because if you want to build authority and credibility, it's through informational and educational content. And then the last reason is to supplement everything else you do. So what that means is if I'm putting out newspaper ads and I'm mailing postcards and I'm sending newsletters and I'm out, doing events and things of that nature, I want to utilize the social media to help support and contribute to those things so that it adds to the visibility factor that the other things do. And so that when you do newspaper ads and postcards and social events and do newsletters and things like that. When you make phone calls, the phone calls become that much easier. So the next thing is where most people have a little bit of a problem. What do you want to be known for in your niche? And as the expert. So what I mean by that is a lot of agents will say they specialize. right? And when they specialize in residential, commercial, industrial, condos, single family homes, townhomes, split levels, this, that, and they'll have a list of 27 different things that they specialize in. And that's not a specialty. That's a generalist. A specialist means one thing. This is my one thing that I am well known for. I'm well known for homes that are on the water that have, that have docks for boats that are 50 feet plus in deep water with easy ocean access, right? I am known for this community that I am the expert within Key Colony Beach in this section of Key Colony Beach, because the more specific you are, the better it will work. I am known for divorce sales, where the property has to be sold because of a divorce or that type of family change, and I'm an expert in handling both the emotional side as well as the practical side when people are dealing with divorce and what the problems that come into play in those types of situations. I am the specialist in elder care sale. So when it's time for mom and dad to move out of the house and get care, I'm the specialist to help you make that transition as easy as possible. So that is what an expert is. That's what a specialist is. Right. I'm known for one thing in my market. That is the thing that I handle. And so I've often talked about Dennis, the guy I went to broker when I was getting my broker's license and I was at school, and his thing was dentists, right? He created an entire marketing program just for dentists to help them understand how to buy and sell property, and focusing on their specific needs, right? The time that they have available, the fact that they have to run a business, the fact that they have to depend on others, and then also how he could help them increase their portfolio so that they can build their income through passive investing, so or investment properties. And from that, it wasn't like he only sold houses with dentists, listed and sold houses with dentists. From that, the dentist would then recommend him to the orthodontist, and the orthodontist would recommend him to the anesthesiologist, and the anesthesiologist would recommend him to the orthopedic surgeon, and then the orthopedic surgeon would recommend him to, and it just went on like that. And of course, he's working with the spouses as well, and then they would recommend him to their friends, and he was able to build a very steady 40 to $50 million volume a year of business from that. Right? So starting in one niche, and when you find that you start within a specific niche, it's much easier to build. But it all depends on your messaging. When I started out, I built a 500 home farm in a very specific area in Plantation, Florida, and then built myself out from there and went from 500 to 5,000 over a couple of years. So that I was known as the specialist for that neighborhood. And I knew that neighborhood like nobody's business. So you also have to decide from that how do you help people? What is the content that you provide that solves or helps them understand or learn about that niche? What type of content you're going to post, and then it's demographics information. So you have age, gender, marital status, those kind of things, personality traits, interests, hobbies, behavioral information, personal information. The more detailed that it is, the easier the messaging becomes, the more targeted it becomes, the more targeted it is, the better the conversion. So, of course, I used to have to do this by hand, but we no longer have to do that. Right? So now we can utilize AI. And I have built a way to do that for you within AI. And of course, I have that information for you. So here are the things that all of that form there I've created into this prompt to help create a complete campaign based on a specific target lead persona. So there are only a few questions now that you have to answer. And then the rest is all about building that whole, everything that you need, everything from the avatar name, profile, demographics, psychographics, current situation, pain points, desired outcome, buying and selling triggers, objections and hesitations, messaging angles, content topics, lead magnet ideas, best call to action phrases, words and phrases they respond to, words and phrases to avoid, and where to reach them, right? And then it gives you a full summary of that lead persona, and it makes it realistic and practical for useful real estate marketing. So this is the prompt, and what all you have to enter in, and here's an example, this is an example of that lead persona that I'm building. So that lead persona is my market, right? My specialty, my ideal client, my price point, my main business goal, and my personality and brand style. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to run this into ChatGPT and give it the instructions of that we've provided here. So as you know, the best way to use AI is to provide the AI with a title of who they are and what their specialty is. So in this prompt, you can see it. Act as an expert real estate marketing strategist. You're a brand positioning consultant and consumer psychology expert. Here is the mission, right? So this is what I want them to do with this knowledge. Help me create a perfect client avatar for my business, and then improve my marketing, social media content, email campaigns, postcards, videos, lead magnets, and listing conversations. And then I have it ask me questions if it needs it. And then here's what I want you to consider. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this part. I'm going to put this into ChatGPT. And of course, don't worry, I will have copies of all of this sent to you so that you have it. And if you're watching it on YouTube, you can download the forms from the link below in the description. So now I'm going to put in my example. Okay. And now we're going to put in the rest of the prompt. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to put in the rest of a prompt. I'm just going to copy all of this. I'm going to throw it in here. So now we have the full prompt with my example. And we're going to let it run and see what it comes up with. And here you go. So it's given it a name. Okay. It's given it an age, life stage, short profile. He's financially comfortable, but not careless, wants smart advice, not sales pressure. Good. Demographics, primary location, property type, income range, net worth, family situation, occupational background, lifestyle, and financial mindset. Some of this may seem very, oh yeah, of course that's the answer, right? So it's very, very obvious, like they, value boating, fishing, privacy, right? Might be a business owner, executive, retired professional. But then you're going to get the other insights, and this is where it really starts to help. So now we're into the psychographics, right? What they care about, protecting equity, understanding true waterfront value, avoiding mistakes, timing the market wisely, working with someone who knows the local details, not being pressured, making a move only when it makes sense. Here are some of their fears. So here are, what if I sell and prices go up? What if I wait and market softens? What if I list and nothing happens? What if buyers don't value my doc, view, updates, or location the way I do? So here are some things these are actually fantastic topics that you could use in social media to talk directly to these people, and also on your postcards. Yeah, you could always do a video and say, hey, have you ever asked, what if I sell and then prices go up, right? And I've missed out. What is the alternative to that? Well, if you waited till prices go up, then chances are when you sold, you most likely had to pay more for the next property you purchased, right? And you can talk about that in a social media post. You can do that with a text post, an image post. You can do that in a short. You can do that in a long length video, and things of that nature. But these are great things to address up front, right? And a lot of agents will avoid answering any of these questions. What are some of their motivations, right? Are they motivated by motivated by clarity, confidence, and control? They do not wake up wanting to sell a house. They wake up wanting to simplify life, unlock equity, and reduce responsibility, right? So we've often talked about, are they motivated to sell? And these are the real idea motivations. I want to simplify. I want to downgrade. I want to have less stuff to worry about. I want to lower the maintenance. I want to not have to take care of the lawn every 5 days. I don't want to have to worry about the storms. I don't want to have to worry about carrying costs. The insurance is too high. Those are the real reasons what motivates somebody. It's not because they want to sell to buy something else or they want to sell to move. They don't. Most people hate moving. They hate the idea of having to pack up the house, load up the boxes, find a mover, or having to get the stuff to pack everything, having to deal with the transition, having to get to the next place, and then I have to get everything in order so that I can live again and feel comfortable. Most people hate that. So if we address it directly and provide the solution, I've now provided a more targeted answer that builds authority and credibility for my business. Okay, how they make decisions, right? They're looking for proof, market knowledge, trust, reputation, confidence, a clear plan, and feeling that the agent understands their specific property. So this is even more important because, again, we talk about specificity and making sure that we are targeting the area that we want to work in. So, for example, if I was working in Ducky, I have to say to myself, okay, which do I want to be known for? Do I want to be known for these canals, the deep water canals, or the easier connect canals, or do I want wider canals? What do I want to be known for? So within a neighborhood, even if it's a small neighborhood, I can specialize for a specific type of property within that small area. So you become the big fish in the small pond. And then as you have eaten up the rest of the fish, you start to build a bigger pond. And your pond becomes a lake, and your lake becomes a river, and your river becomes an ocean. So it's that step process that helps to get you out in the market and more successful and build a steady foundation. Instead of income going like this, your income follows a wave that gently rises above. So, and this is the best method that you can come up with to build a long-term foundational business. So, what is their current situation? What are some of their pain points, biggest frustrations, hidden concerns, desired outcome, and all of this? Here are their selling triggers, buying triggers. So we have one for each, right? In this called health changes, death of a spouse, divorce, remarriage, adult children or grandchildren living elsewhere, want to move closer to family, estate planning. All of this I would say is pretty valid, right? It's some of the most common stuff that we see in our market area. Insurance premium increase, maintenance becomes annoying, storm preparation, fatigue, dock, seawall, roof, or mechanical systems need attention, right? I mean, trying to get somebody to come and fix a davit is like, trying to find a brain surgeon that only, lives in Taiwan. If you look at market triggers, right? Inventory changes, mortgage rate shifts. They hear that waterfront inventory is limited. Emotional triggers. We don't use the house like we used to. That's a pretty common one here. It might be time. I wonder what we could get. If someone paid the right number, we would consider it, right? How many sellers have said that? Oh, if you bring me a buyer for 2.5 million for my $1.2 million house, I'd sell it. Yeah, of course, I would too. Um, why they delay, right? And here's some reasons why they delay. And what I want to do is here's down to the messaging angle. So I have hooks, which we often talk about, right? You have to find the hook, the pain point, the story, and then have the solution, which is your call to action. Some of your content topics, this should make life much easier. Lead magnet ideas, best call to action phrases, words and phrases they respond to. And of course, you'd want to read through this and make sure that these things, sound correct, that they reflect you and your values. Um, so these are some ideas, thoughts, words that you would use within your marketing, words and phrases to avoid, which I agree with a lot of this, right? Free CMA. That doesn't mean anything to me. Everybody says that, right? It's like thinking of selling. It's such a tired phrase that it's at the point of being ridiculous. Thinking, and nobody thinks of selling, right? They decide to sell, but they're not. If you're asking them, they're thinking of selling. They're certainly not thinking of you. What I want to know is, are you thinking of me as your selling agent? So that's what I want to know. But we want to make sure that we avoid those types of typical of comments and phrases that people just don't fall for anymore. Limited time. I have buyers waiting. The market's on fire, right? What's your time? Like, these things are is estimate. Okay, I like that. That's interesting. It pulled up that word. But so I don't want, I want to avoid those kind of words, and I want to use the kind of words that would be important, right, to them, and that would make them react. And here's how we reach them: through direct mail, email, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, phone, community-based marketing. And look at that. Local boating events, fishing tournaments. Wow. It really kind of made it very local. Different types of events. And here's some educational events that you can do. But you can do these online. You can do lives online, do me and ask me anything. And then here is the final summary. So Rick Bennett is financially comfortable marathon oceanside waterfront homeowner who may sell in the next 6 to 12 months, but is not ready to be chased by an agent. He values privacy, straight answers, local expertise, and smart guidance. He is quietly watching the market, wondering what his home is really worth, and trying to decide whether selling would give him more freedom, less responsibility, and a strong financial outcome. He worries about pricing wrong, choosing the wrong agent, leaving money on the table, and being pressured before he's ready. The best way to reach him is with calm, specific, waterfront focused education that helps him understand his options before he makes a decision. To win this trust, position yourself as the friendly local advisor who understands marathon waterfront value, buyer psychology, boating access, insurance concerns, and how to protect the lifestyle and equity he has worked hard to build. So you now have a complete lead persona of in I think it took maybe 90 seconds for this to come up with all this. And again, I want to review it, make sure that everything is in here that makes sense, that it reflects me and my personality, and doesn't sound, it didn't come up with anything crazy. But I would say overall, from what I'm seeing, this is pretty damn good for the market that we've chosen. So utilize this prompt to help create this persona, and this can help you build out your marketing message like we discussed before. So we can find the hook, we can find the pain point, we can give a little story about it, and then we can have an effective solution known as the call to action. And this is also why I think it's important, or I believe it's important, that in your postcards, in your newsletters, in your social media posts, in your newspaper articles, or your newspaper ads, you should include the statement and create and maintain a program where you're putting together numbers for a neighborhood and then giving your opinion of where the market's going to go in the next 6 to 12 months. Because just as it said here earlier about not being pressured and being educated, if they are thinking about selling, it's hard to get those words out of my mouth, but if they're thinking about selling, right? They're starting to think about it 6 to 12 months before they actually do. So I want to plant the seed in with that person before they've made the decision. I don't want to wait until they make a decision. I want to be there first. And the way that I do that is by planting the seed to grow the tree. So I'm giving them that statement. If you'd like to get my opinion on where the market's going to go in the next 6 to 12 months, click this QR code, DM me, send me a text, download this link, or, use this link, you visit my website, or something along those lines that makes the information easy for them to get, but yet pulls them into your universe so that you have early access, right? That's the key. Early access before they decide. Does that all make sense to you guys? Okay. So, and again, so this is the full prompt. So you would create, all the questions are already in here. They're all in here. You just got to fill in this little parts here. That's it. And then all you have to do is drop it into ChatGPT and create your lead persona. The only thing that most agents are going to find difficulty with is my specialty. This is where a lot of people get hung up. What is my specialty? Your specialty is not 27 things. Your specialty is one thing, just one thing. And decide what that specialty, it could be anything from, probate, estate sale, divorce, health concern, family change, downsizing. It can be dozens and dozens of things, right? That you can be the specialist in. Some of them, a lot of agents that become, that work with celebrities and stuff like that. It's all about non-disclosure, keeping things private, not letting things, get out of hand, making sure that they feel safe, right? That they feel safe. Some people specialize in sports figures, but they market to sports figures, right? Some people specialize in doctors in the medical industry. Some people specialize in first responders. Some people specialize, in fishing tournament captains, maybe boat captains for fishing tournaments. Some people specialize in there's a lot of different categories that you can specialize in as far as a specific person, or we could specialize in a specific type of property, specific type of specific type of lifestyle, right? Maybe I specialize in golf courses. Maybe I specialize in tennis, where tennis is very popular. Or maybe you specialize in older homes, historical homes. The amount of knowledge that you have helps people make decisions on buying homes that are, deemed historic. So things coming across that way, now you become the specialist. Now you're the go-to, right? You're the go-to for that person. So if somebody was thinking, if you're a specialist in historic properties on Duval Street or in Old Town, then if you're known as that, then people who are looking specifically for those types of homes would be would reach out to you. They're not going to reach out to a general agent if they know that there's somebody who has knowledge specifically on that subject, right? Or here's a good one, haunted homes, right? I'm a specialist in haunted homes. All right. Then there are people like that. There are. They specialize in finding homes where tragedy has occurred of some type, they specialize in those types of homes in order to, reach people who are interested in that type of stuff. So, there are all kinds of niches. You just gotta You just got to figure out which one is best for you based on what you've already done, right? And where you've already worked, and then create that. Okay. Any questions? You guys got this? Yes? No?
Well,
Annalise, I could see you have questions. I could
I,
tell just from your
well,
face you have questions.
I know, but I hate for you to repeat yourself because I missed the beginning. Like what you were describing. Is this all you and then or this is you like it's different sections, right? Where you're describing your ideal client and then you're describing yourself.
Okay, so here's no, no. So here's what I did. This was the old form when if you when I first came here,
Okay.
this was the form that I used when we were working on this. And I was at Marathon. And the problem is most people are not going to sit down and fill all this out. They don't even understand the question, right?
Right.
So what I
You're
did
talking
was
about clients, but sellers. Or
I'm talking about sell deal. There's a
agent.
buyer and a seller. Yeah,
Right. Okay, go ahead.
both. Yeah, both. Right. So what I did was now with AI, I was able to create this lead persona, right? This is this client, your client avatar. And now broke it down so you only have to answer like these 6 questions.
Okay.
And then the rest of it does it all on its own. It'll create the name, the age, the life stage, short description based on what I want to be known for. So the only thing I'm putting in here is my market, what my specialty is, what my ideal client, right? So homeowners thinking about something in the next 6 to 12 months, right? If I want a buyer, I would look for, people looking to purchase a home in Duck Key, for example.
Right.
Um, my price point, right? So I want to have a price point that I want to select. This is the ideal price point I want to work in, and you could put, 500 to a million, you could put million plus, or you could say I want to specialize in homes only over 5 million. So you can utilize that however you want. And then what your goal is. So if you're looking for listings, I want to, more seller leads. I want to list waterfront homes, right? If it's, or like in my case, it would be to recruit agents or build a luxury brand or dominate a specific area. So if I was going to go and want to break into a new market area, I would say to dominate a geo farm, right? Um, or just to dominate a specific real estate neighborhood. I want to farm a real estate neighborhood. This doesn't have to be exactly the words I have here. You can make it whatever words work for you. Okay. And then who's your person, what's your brand style? What's your personality like, right? So, like for you, Annalise, if I'm funny, I'm light, I'm also a boat captain and I love to write, stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. So, whatever reflection you have of yourself. And
Okay.
actually, you didn't miss much, Annalise. And when we started off, we were talking about you a lot before behind your back.
Oh, that's normal. It's usually not good.
He was complimenting you.
Oh,
No,
Frank was complimenting you.
I don't feel like I deserve it.
you're a phenomenal writer, Annalise. I love
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Thank
stories.
you.
So Annalise, I was telling Frank that I need help, like a one-on-one, not in front of a computer, that we
Yeah.
actually do it in a classroom setting, sort of.
Yeah, it's like tactical or whatever, not
Yes. Would
yeah.
you be receptive to that?
Yeah, I'll show up anywhere. I'll whatever works.
Yeah, see, that's what I need, Frank. I need that. I don't know what it is it's so hard for me to get this off the ground. I don't know if it's so much. I don't know.
Sometimes I feel like it's I've never been a computer person. And Frank is like, it's like second nature to him. So I understand it when he's going through it. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then if I don't implement anything immediately,
Yes.
it's like I
Yeah,
going
me too.
back, it's like I'm looking at a foreign language if I wait a day or two.
Yeah, me too.
But I
That's
think
where I'm
it's
at.
just me. I gotta just get over the hump of like teaching an old dog new tricks kind of thing.
Okay. So we'll do that. I do have so let me look at my schedule and see how we could work that out. I'll have to talk to Nicole and Ruth as well, and
Okay,
do it in the marathon training room,
that would be great.
and we'll set a date for that. Okay.
Yeah. So what would you go over to make it practical to
We'll,
actually post something? Do a,
we'll build a whole thing with you guys
oh,
from scratch. Okay,
that's
so we'll start
great.
from scratch and
Okay.
walk through the entire process and build a whole marketing strategy.
You know, what would be, I wonder like, if like you're doing it and then we're having to do our own at the same time,
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
like that, because like I'm watching you, I understand, and then I'm like, like I don't see how I would go in and do it.
We'll do a step by step. So we'll do it. I'll show you how to do it, then you do it, and then I'll walk you through it, and then we move on to the next one, the next part, the next part. And by the time we're done, you'll have a whole marketing strategy done.
That
But
would
then
be great.
you have to do the,
Do
you
it.
have to do it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Actually doing anything. What when you which platform should I get? Should I get what is it, Claude and Chat GBT? Should I pay for those two to get started?
Oh, I would just get the Chat GPT.
That's
Just
it for
just
now?
start with that. Let's just start with that. Start with one thing, get it to work for you, and
Okay.
then yeah, because they have different strengths, right? So they have Claude is more technical, right? It's good for math and it's good for
Charts
uh,
and graphs and stuff.
yeah, it's good for like that kind of stuff. And it's not bad in the other parts. It's just not as good, right? It doesn't the wording and everything comes out not the same, right? And there's also Gemini, which is also great for personal use. Um, and so sometimes, like what I'll do is have Gemini build the prompt for me, and then I use the prompt in ChatGPT because ChatGPT is the best at writing,
Mhm.
right? So it's um, and that could be for a few reasons. One is because it's been around a little bit longer, and it's had more learning modules. But Gemini is getting much better because it has complete access to everything that Google has, right? So everything from search and YouTube, and there's other sometimes for topics and things I want to think about, like what are some trending topics. I use Grok. So Grok is from Twitter or X. That's what X. That's the XAI. From Elon Musk. Um, so it really depends, but the most important thing you should do is just start with one, and then if your needs change, if it's working, don't mess with it, right? It's working. If your needs change, you move on. You can always move to another one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Frank, would we, before your session, would there be homework for us to do in order to come to the um, one-on-one session so we can implement those things so they're
You
implemented?
know, it's not really, Charlene, because I think it's probably better if we walk through the whole process from the start, and then because this way, maybe I can help with your thought process, right? Instead of getting frustrated over it, like the what's my specialty, right? And what do I want to be known for? So we can actually work on that in real time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that. It's like starting with toddlers. It's very
Yeah,
good. Okay.
I'm a toddler.
I'll, I'll get you one of those round, remember those things, and you put them in your mouth, right? You could eat
Yeah.
them and stuff. There's like a ring with balls on
Good.
it or something.
It's
Yeah.
like a teething ring.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. There you go. Okay.
Perfect.
Well,
Okay.
we're your guinea pigs, Frank.
Yeah.
Annalise and
Okay.
I will be your guinea pigs.
I'm so thankful you're not giving up on me. I swear, because
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
I know I'm a problem. I want to do it. Yeah.
And at least I'm happy to help you. Like I said, I think you're a phenomenal writer, and I think in some ways that it's great, but in other ways it actually holds you back.
Yeah, because it's never right. It's never good enough. It's never ready. I know.
right?
You know,
And then putting, done is better than perfect.
done is better than none.
There you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. See, you're even a poet. And you
Yes.
didn't know it, right? Okay. All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
Frank. So you'll
You're
get
very
back with
welcome.
us and let us know?
Yes, I will.
That'd
I'll
be
work.
great.
Let me talk to Ruth and Nicole, and I'll work it out. Okay.
Hey,
Wonderful.
in the meantime, Frank, with my newsletter, I was gonna lay out basically where I thought everything should go so that it would remain pretty much the same template.
Right.
But then I have to, see what fits where, but I want to just kind of lay it out. So then at that point, I can come to you and say, okay, how do I make this work in Canva? Like, what do I do?
So we didn't I create a template for you in Canva?
No, I downloaded my old newsletter, but we're moving stuff around and I'm kind of learning Canva. It's
Right.
not like,
Thursday, I'm doing a session on the CB Canva.
oh, all right, Thursday at 2 or 10.
No, the 10 a.m. session, the master series.
All right, Thursday. All right, I'm in. Oh, yeah, I could do it. I'll just start later with my other thing.
It'll be recorded. We have a YouTube channel too,
I know, man.
I try to make it as easy as possible for you guys.
I know. You're amazing.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. And I
Thanks,
will
Frank.
talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
You're
Bye-bye. Bye,
welcome.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.